Today's video, we're going to be prepping this area, getting it knocked out and ready for spring. The one thing that I did not want to happen was I did not want my tulips to start emerging from the ground before I had the opportunity to get in and put the mulch down that I wanted to have in this area. So I asked you guys a serious question. The question was, which type of mulch I should go with in this area. So many of you guys voted for the fine texture mulch. So many of you guys voted for the pine bark mulch. So I also received a lot of inboxes on Instagram about the pine bark mulch versus the fine mulch. So what I did in order to break the tie, I sent my husband to the store and I told him to get some mulch. So he came back with the pine bark mulch. But here is the thing. I kind of wanted the fine mulch over here in this area. But in a way, I'm kind of glad that I'm not going with that. And this is why. When my pups get over here in this area, they have a tendency to kick up the mulch over here. And for the most part, this area is going to be heavily planted up, and you guys will get to see that as the spring display goes on. But because this area was a new area that I started establishing last season, well, I'm not going to say that I started establishing it because we already had the far flower bed over here on this side. So over here along this back wall, we already had hydrangeas that was over here and the hydrangeas that went over to the side. I had a previous fountain here. We moved that one out. So this area is in its development phase where I'm going to be adding plants in, moving plants out if they don't work in this area. So it makes natural sense to stay with the pine bark mulch in this area. Although I am a fiend for thinly textured moss, and a lot of times I'll actually use compost as mulch. And most often, I used to have a rule of thumb that, and I'm almost breaking my own rule in this sense. I used to have a rule of thumb where what I would do is I would go in and I would use compost in my beds. Some of these tulips are sticking up like yay big. I'm going to have to go ahead and just prep this area down for the spring and get as much of this done in this area as I can get done, and then we will have this out the way because I have so many different projects that's going to be bumping off in my yard this year. So go ahead, hop in the front seat, get your seatbelt, strap yourself in, because we're going full on at a high speed into spring, and I'm glad that you're on this ride with me. Guys, do you see all of these tulips? And I'm going to try to go slow so it gives the camera time to focus in on the area that I want you guys to see. Just sporadically coming out through here, over here in this area. So all of this is going to be full. From this angle right here, you can see how high these are sticking up out of the ground. These tulips are a lot higher out of the ground than what I was expecting them to be once I move back all of the leaves. So because the ground is a little bit uneven in some of the spots, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to add a layer of soil. Then I'm going to come in with some nice rich compost, and then I'm going to add my layer of mulch. I'm going to make sure to leave some of the tulips still sticking out. Now the goal is not to bury the tulip. The goal is to go in and even out the ground, because when I came in and I mass planted these tulips, I removed quite a bit of the soil in the area. And I also finished the chore late at night. So what I have to do in order to correct this and make this right and make sure that water does not pull down inside of the tulips and rot my bulbs out. Now this spring is upon us. I'm going to have to go ahead, go in, level this all out. It's 5 Incrediball hydrangeas. I'm going to go in, prune those back real quick. Then I'll go in and add the soil. That way I'm not playing a guessing game with where I'm stepping. So I got all of my hydrangeas over here pruned up. While I was pruning up my hydrangeas, so I noticed that one of my hydrangeas, because it was so small, the weight of the snow actually tipped the hydrangea over. Half of the root system is actually lifted up. It is still attached in some areas. This is going to take a little bit longer than what I was expecting. I'll probably be out here working for a good amount of time. It's a simple, easy fix, and I'm glad that I'm noticing it now while it's still in dormancy. It's starting to wake up, but it's not fully awake yet. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go in, lift that hydrangea up, probably just go ahead and remove it from the area, repot it up, and see what it does. Then I went in and I got the majority of the tulips covered up with soil and compost. It's going to be something, since they're so far out of the ground, like I showed you guys, it's going to take me a little bit more time. For the most part with the leaves, I pushed all the leaves over here away from the tulips. So all of the tulips are showing, but I do have to come in and still remove these leaves over here, and that'll be something that I'll do probably early tomorrow morning if it doesn't rain. Even though it's not the show, you know, fully top dressed the way I want it to be, it actually doesn't look quite bad. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.